And we're live. Hopefully, everybody can hear us. Uh,
Hello.
uh, all right. Hi, everybody. This is our first stream, first show on Huetopia.
Yay.
Yay! We are starting with Ballot, which is our variety talk show, essentially showcasing creators and panels, which you will see tomorrow at the same time. We have a great panel, which is Everything is a Remix, and has a lot of people, awesome people that off the top of my head I don't have because I'm flying by the seat of my pants today. uh, we have with us today a wonderful creator, Nala. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Hello. I'm Nala or Jay. Either name's fine. I use they them pronouns and I am a illustrator and I don't know, I didn't prepare anything. I draw stuff, I write stuff, I act stuff, and I yell about politics on social media. Yep,
Speaking
that's
of
me.
illustrator, your background is created by you, I believe.
Oh yeah, I literally was pulling up to the stream and I was like, I need a background, so I just drew this. I wanted to make something that would match my artwork, and also, I don't know, I'm wearing yellow and I thought the blue, teal, and the yellow would look good, so.
I think it's awesome. So I do have a couple of questions that we'll go through today, but if at any point in chat, if there's something that you have a burning desire to ask Nala, please type it in chat and we will try to get to it as soon as we can. But first up, let's start at the beginning. Right at
Oh.
the beginning. Maybe not chicken and egg beginning, but
At first, there was nothing.
and then you were born into existence. Only if you want to go.
Allegedly.
Only if you want to
Allegedly.
go there. But I think what I would want to ask first off is, what was the first time in memory? Like, when did you have this artistic need or desire? Like, was it like when you could learn to hold a pencil or something, or
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know, like, you know how, like, most kids draw? Like, this is something I had an internship at my old elementary school for, like, one, like, spring of my senior year of high school. But something I noticed, because the elementary schools serve kindergarten through sixth grade, is that as kids hit around, like, third grade, they started, like, not in, like, this was an art class, by the way. I was, an intern in art class. But something I noticed about the students is that as they grew older, they grew more critical of their work. Like all the kindergartners, first graders, like all of them loved drawing and they all loved expressing themselves and making messes and whatever and experimenting. But as the kids grew older, they became very self-critical, which was kind of sad for me to see them lose the passion, because at some point kids realize that in order to do something, you have to be good at it, which is completely false. But I just noticed that as the kids grew older. So for me, I didn't really start showing an interest in art until fourth grade. And that's when I started like taking it seriously. Weirdly enough, it's because at my elementary school, I was not a popular kid and I was being bullied. And there's this one girl who could draw, and everybody loved her drawings and they gave her a lot of attention. And I was not well liked and I wanted to be liked. And I was like, if I can learn how to draw like her, then people will like me too. So that's like why I started, was because I wanted attention. I guess it's
so
weird
what?
to say it like that, but
So what
yeah.
sort of drawings were they, and what sort of drawings did you do?
um Anime. That was like my early manga phase, because that's what people seem to be interested in. I have never watched anime or anything except for maybe like Pokemon when I was like that age, but um that seemed to be like the chibis and whatnot, like that seemed to be what people were into. And so I was learning how to do that. I started watching YouTube videos for like how to draw. I bought those how to draw books. And I also was learning portraiture because people were really into like, can you draw me kind of things. So like learning how to draw like the human face. A big majority of my early art career, I guess, like me actually being serious about it, was me tracing images and basically learning how to color first, because my thoughts were, if I can learn how to color, I can learn how to draw later, but coloring's harder. So I would trace everything and then like color with color pencils, or I had like these weird like watercolor colored pencils where you like draw with color pencils and then you just like put water on it and it blends it together.
Oh, I love those. Those are still my
Yeah.
favorite. Like, I'm a huge watercolor person.
Watercolors are so much fun.
They are. So there's a question in chat. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Oh boy. I recently filled out that like favorite Pokemon of every type. And it's so hard to choose. I kind of like Wailord just because it's big and round. It's like the biggest one. Or maybe Corsola. I like the design of that one. Shuckle. I don't know. I kind of like all like the round, cute ones.
I'm probably the same, although, like, big disclaimer, I kind of only know Pokemon through what I see in memes, so it's like, I know Pikachu, I know,
Pika Pika!
Pikachu, yeah! I know, the one with the bulbous kind of back, Bulbasaur, I think?
Oh, Bulbasaur, yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
sheep one.
Mareep?
I think so, it's like Uwu or Wooloo.
Oh, the new sheep.
Yeah.
I don't have those games. I played Pokemon Diamond on the Nintendo DS and then Pokemon Black version on the Nintendo DS, and that's all I played. Oh, actually, and I had like the Game Boy games, like Green.
I have
Sapphire, whatever
Pokemon
that thing is.
Shield on my Switch, and I still haven't opened it yet.
Oh, I really want to play that game so badly, but I don't have a Switch. Grr.
Anyways, so going back to your art, what I believe, like when we were chatting and everything, you became viral when you were a teenager. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I was on DeviantArt for like a good portion. Like when I was like 12, I was on DeviantArt, and then at some point I was sort of like, there's not really like. For some reason, I decided that the art community was better on Instagram than on DeviantArt. I don't know why, but I thought like everyone else in my grade, this was like in 8th grade at this point, I was like, everybody else has Instagram. I should join Instagram and post my art on there. And so I started posting my work on Instagram. And then like a year after I started my account, I really don't know, but there was like, if anyone else was on Instagram in like circa 2013, 2014, there was a very specific community of like young people, like 12 to 16-year-old artists who were all drawing on Instagram. Anyways, I drew a rainbow eye with like the pencils arranged around it. And it went viral. It absolutely took off, and I started gaining like followers rapidly. It was kind of exponential growth. I hit like 1K in like a couple months, and then that like quickly was like exponentially getting up there. And by the time I was in high school, I had like 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, and by my senior year of high school, I had 50 something thousand followers on Instagram. And yeah, I was at that point in my life, I was doing a lot of fan art, like Disney drawings, and also like realistic portraiture because everybody really liked the colored pencil drawings that were realistic. And you know, whoever could render it the best was kind of like really popular. And also like doing like Disney art because everybody loves Disney art, and you add some glitter on it, you make it sparkly, and people love it. The white gel pen. Mwah. Like,
Oh, I love gel pens. So
peak style. Yeah.
I have been trying to get the artwork up, but this is the time that OBS has decided they're not going to cooperate. So, yeah, unfortunately, there's not going to be any artwork. Sorry, guys. Sorry,
No,
Al.
it's okay.
But yeah, definitely throw out your link so we can see your work. And speaking of gel pens, I remember during Eid in Dubai, I would actually like do henna drawing and then use
Oh
gel
yeah.
pens to color stuff in.
Huh. Cool.
Yeah,
That's
I mean
cool.
it would wash off immediately, but it was a thing.
Also, like every like 15-year-old person on Instagram, I was really into henna. Like the henna designs and everything. It was so pretty.
Yeah, there's henna art's like really taken off, especially with like the internet and everything. Oh god, I sound old saying that.
For sure.
uh,
Somebody in chat asked me what my pins are.
ooh
Uh,
yeah.
this one is the non-binary flag. It's and then this one is a D20 and it says chaotic gay on it. So
That's a
they're very
mood.
professional.
Uh, so, aside from art, you have also been doing a couple of things in the TTRPG spaces.
I
Uh,
have.
yeah, so tell me a little bit about your Queer Mafia game.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I am working on a Queer Mafia RPG. My working title right now is Bloodstained Orchids in June. Shout out to Ajay for the suggestion of the name. And it is going to be uh, like a mechanics light, narrative heavy uh, game system designed specifically for play by post games on Discord. It's also going to be diceless, and it's I don't know, like it's I'm hoping to create a game system that will be separate from the actual like setting that I've been working on. But the game system, I have not seen anything like it before. Specifically, a game system that will be designed for Discord, integrating Discord's features into it. And I don't know, it's just going to be a giant collaborative storytelling experience. And you get to be gay and do crimes, and it will be great.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
I've
what are
never.
the mechanics like a little bit? Whatever you can tell me, like how,
Yeah.
because for those who are not familiar by with play by post, how does that work?
Okay. Play by post is and I'm gonna pull up actually my document where I wrote this up because my words there are more eloquent than my words will come out of my mouth right now. So one moment.
Sure, go ahead.
Where did I talk about play by post? Anyway, so play by post refers to the method by which the game is run. So instead of like a traditional tabletop roleplay game where you might like meet with a group and sit around a table, play by post games are continuously running, and they're played by typing written prose into a forum. For my game, it'll be Discord. Play by post games allow players to interact whenever they have free time, which alleviates play groups of scheduling conflict barriers. And basically, what I love about play by post is that people it's sort of like always happening. So whenever people have time, they'll post for their characters, but it's just like you would sit around a table and play the game, except instead of like saying what your character does, you are typing it in like written prose. So you're basically writing a novel out. And what's really nice though about it is that once the game is like done, you could scroll all the way back to the beginning and read it like a novel. And it's inspired a lot by, I think, just like forum role playing, which I used to do a lot of when I was younger. Role playing on like Fiction Press, if anybody remembers that. And it's basically just forum role playing, but then like with an added like game mechanics. Some play by post games, you have a dice spot, so you still roll dice. I've attempted to run Dungeons and Dragons in play by post, before everything with WotC kind of blew up. But Dungeons and Dragons is also not great for play by post. I would not recommend it. There are other
Oh no.
systems better for this written format. But yeah, it's very fun, and if you've never tried it, it definitely helps your writing skill, and it's very fun. So, would recommend. And once my game's open for playtesting, I'd love to get as many people as I can into it to, be gay and do crimes.
Yeah. Thank you, Burst of Hope, aka other caretaker Jess. Thank you for hosting the stream, and for Kupo, and for a lot of other people who have scrolled by that are hosting or following. Thank you so much.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah. There is a question that is, if I can scroll up really quickly, what gave you this idea to make this game? Because be gay, do crime?
Yeah. Long story short, I was pulled on to working on a different play-by-post game. It was a science fiction horror thriller game that Riley was running. Riley, aka Kilderkin, aka Riley Gritch on Twitter. And I had created my NPCs for that game. And that game unfortunately ended and was not continuing. And I was like, I got in deep with the NPC creation. I really gave it, I was in deep. And I was like, I put so much work into these characters, like I kind of want to do something with it. And one people who were like in Discord, and I was like, hey, what if Aditya, who was my main NPC that I'd created for that game, I was like, what if Aditya's mob? I was like, oh my gosh. And I started brainstorming, and then here we are. So
my internet's a little rocky. Okay, hopefully it's fixed now. Here. Yeah.
But yeah, so then I started like brainstorming and converting all these characters over to their like new roles. So like if Aditya becomes like the mob boss, then like all these other characters are all shuffled around and filled in various roles within like this mafia genre. And my overall goal is to take this mafia genre, which is generally very white and cishet and male dominated, and I'm basically trying to flip it on its head and make it really queer and POC friendly, and basically make a game that marginalized people can play and punch up at our oppressors. And just, I want it to be a cathartic experience for everybody playing. And I hope that people like it once it's ready.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, honestly. And all the NPCs are pretty great. So tell me a little bit about some favorite PCs you've made and played. Any game or any system, like which ones have really stood out for you?
Man. Well, funny story, I haven't actually played in a lot of games because I was a perma DM for like the longest time, but I have like one more game still in, but I'm a changeling warlock named Norda. Their name is actually like ridiculously long. It's like Norda Zetonu Manavi Zialbadina. But they are I don't even know where to begin. Like basically they are a changeling or they're passing as a half elf right now because they're like basically they died. They don't know this, but they died previously, and in their previous life their name was Kali Valir, and and they were a university student, and they were like basically a workaholic. They had these two like very overbearing mothers, and they wanted to impress their moms. And meanwhile, like this darkness entity was like calling to them, basically corrupted them and got them to create a rift and basically open up hell, and that destroyed like half a city in this explosion, and they died. But their patron, who is the darkness, basically saved them. Asteroids. She made my character.
Oh no, I think the internet is being unstable again. Just 1 second. Hello.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I know. The window that I have the Twitch in just crashed. I'm not sure what happened.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully it looks. Hello. You're not as choppy. You don't sound as robotic. So hopefully that's just like all these little internet burps that sometimes happen.
There's also a thunderstorm passing through my area right now. So that might have something to do with my internet being weird.
Yeah, so you were telling me about your patron, the patron that is the darkness, and...
Oh, right, yeah. So basically, she gave my character new memories, placed me in like this kingdom, and then currently in game, my character was heading back towards the empire where I originally was from, but I didn't know that. And in game, I have discovered that I was the person that caused the chaos like 20 some years ago. And so I'm kind of, my character is trying to deal with like the expectations of my party, who is all against like my patron, and my patron basically trying to influence me again and turn me dark and release her, because she had been released from her prison originally, but then like these 4 heroes rose up and shut her back in her prison, and she wants to be released again. Was like, you, my child, are the person who did it for me, so I'm gonna coach you to release me again. And so that's sort of like the conflict that's happening right now. And yeah, that's my home, that's like my last game that I'm in pretty much. But another character that I really liked, you guys may have seen me talking about them on my Twitter for Pride Month, but I was asked, this is my first like official voice acting gig, which I'm really excited about, but this podcast called Dark Dice got me and a lot of other people, a lot of them who are way more famous than I am. The biggest name is probably Cecil Baldwin from Welcome to Night Vale. He was on this.
Oh, nice.
But it basically was a speed dating thing. It was really cool. And we raised like $10,000 for the Trevor Project, which was fantastic. But we were all playing different characters that the main character was like going on speed dates with, and then you could vote by donating money for which character you wanted the main character to get a second date with. I came in second, and I was so close to beating Cecil Baldwin, like literally within like under $100 worth, like that close. Which is a huge accomplishment. I didn't think that my character would be that popular, but just bragging rights, you know, super close to beating Cecil Baldwin.
I came this much close.
Yeah, I know. My character apparently raised like 1,500, like
nice,
which was like wild. I did not expect for them to be that popular. But their name was Kayla. Wow. Their name was Kalia Sung, and they were a bard who is a warlock. I know that sounds confusing, but they're a bard who doesn't know that they're also a warlock.
A bardlock?
A bardlock, yes. And they also are dealing with memory loss, and except it's not like evil or anything like my other characters.
I see you have a type.
Yeah, it just so happens that these two characters I wanted to mention both have memory loss kind of thing. But in this one, it's basically sort of like a deja vu thing where the character keeps encountering people who claim that they know them, but they don't know who these people are. And they're sort of traveling around the plains, uh, trying to figure out like who they are and why there's stories of them everywhere. Because basically every time they die, they are like brought back and their memory is wiped again, and so they have to start all over. And so the current like rendition of the character carries a notebook around and basically writes down like everything, and trying to like get to the bottom of this mystery surrounding their identity. Um, I definitely put a lot of myself into my characters, be it like searching for your identity or other like being trans, being gay, like a lot of other like things that I personally identify with. I like put onto my characters, diaspora. Um, I don't know. I'm blanking right now on like other things, but uh,
So
yeah. So yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
so with all of with all the things that you're doing and all the characters you're playing and the wonderful art you're producing, uh, what I guess what are your inspirations? Like, you mentioned you pull from your own life.
Yeah.
Can do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I'm literally open to anything. Like I'm not like somebody. I'm trying to like find my words here, but basically I'm an open book. You can ask me literally anything, but I was adopted from China when I was young, 8 months to be exact. And so I was adopted at 8 months, brought to America, and I grew up in Massachusetts. Um, I was actually adopted by Asian people, like Chinese people. So, like, if you look at my family, like, I don't look adopted. But it's something that I struggle with, not being connected to my heritage because both my parents are like not first gen immigrants, so we don't speak Mandarin at home. And I've spent a very long time trying to learn my language, and it was not successful because I'm just not good at that. And it's really hard when you don't have people like speaking it at home to like get that practice in. So I studied Mandarin for 14 years and I have nothing to show for it, which is really upsetting. I also came out as queer in high school. I think my sophomore year of high school is when I came out. And then once I got to college, I realized I was trans, non binary. And so I came out again my freshman year of college. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of these experiences that I kind of draw from, to write about characters who face similar struggles that I do. It sort of helps me work through things, and also just in a more public sense, like if the game I'm playing is going to be streamed, like the Star Trek show that I'm on, um, to sort of bring diverse stories to the forefront of the media, because I know that mainstream media is not telling stories about people like us. And if I want them to tell stories about us, I will force it. And so if
That's
I
a
can make
mood.
every single character that I play gay and trans, then, we're just like populating the world with more characters who are relatable to marginalized folks. So that's really important to me in both my writing and my artwork, is to create things that marginalized folks can look at and say, hey, this character looks like me, or this character is similar to me in this way or that way. Um, and yeah, it's been a huge inspiration, not just my life, but like listening to other stories of other people and trying to represent their stories as well, and boost their voices so they can tell their own stories.
Yeah. So let's circle back a little bit on the diaspora thing.
Yeah.
What sort of support or lack of support did you have while you were trying to learn Mandarin or learn, like, reconnect with your culture?
I mean, like at first I hated it because my parents basically made me go to Chinese school. Every Sunday, my town had a Chinese as a second language, like language learning school, because the town that I grew up in actually has a huge population of Asian people, like a lot of East Asians, a lot of Chinese people, but also Koreans and some Japanese people, but not as much. And then a ton of people from India as well. And so there definitely was a lot of people to make this Chinese school like a thing. But I hated it when I was younger just because it was school on the weekends. I didn't want to go to school on Sunday. Like this, this was not fun. And so I didn't like I didn't try hard enough when I was younger, and I didn't like see or realize how much this would matter to me when I grew older. But then once I got to high school, they offer Mandarin as a language choice at my high school. So um, I was taking Mandarin partly because I was not good at French, and French was hard, and I thought Mandarin would be easier. It's not. Um, like Mandarin doesn't have verb conjugations, but it's also like remembering what all the characters look like is really hard. And again, my parents didn't speak it at home, so my accent, like I had a really like my accent's really bad, and I feel like a fool speaking like Mandarin because I don't have like I'm an Asian person and I don't have like I have an Americanized accent, and it made me feel really not great.
I can relate so much with that because my father's Bengali, my mom's Urdu speaking, and at home we spoke English because it was
Yeah.
sort of an attempt to better their children by not having an accent and all those things. But because of that, of not speaking English, as not speaking Bengali or Urdu, when it came time to learn those languages, it sort of was like like you said, it sounded foreign and
Yeah.
awkward and all those things. Uh, yeah. So as you're sort of learning and reconnecting with your culture, are there any sort of role models in media or otherwise that you look up to or are inspired
Um,
by?
I'm not really sure just because like I'm struggling with this so much that I'm not sure where to begin. Because I know like the best way, if I still want to learn Mandarin, the best way I can do it is like get on any of these social media where you're just like thrown in with somebody who's a native speaker and then you like try to talk to them. Um, and and immersion, I think like people will say immersion is the best way to learn it, but um, I think I'm just really struggling with like wanting it, but not willing and being too scared to like take that step to like do it. Just because my overall view of the 14 years I spent trying to learn Mandarin was very negative. I never did the homework. I never like tried in class because I was just frustrated. Um, and because like there was very few white kids in the class. Most people were like Chinese in the class, except pretty much all of them spoke Chinese at home. And so I felt like just one of the white kids in the class, even though I was Chinese too. So that was like really hard.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like there's a sort of maybe double standard where people who do not look native are given a pass, but those who were brought up in like North America or whatever and look just like everyone else, then it's like, well, you're Chinese, you should know Chinese, sort of.
Yeah, and that was like another thing in my school too, because like the town I grew up in has like a really amazing public school system. And so like a lot of people are really smart, and a lot of like the top grades in my class were all Asians. And sort of the model minority myth and all that stuff. Like I felt really out of place because I'm not good at math, I'm not good at science. I was not like smart as far as like my high school was concerned. Um, like I did okay. Like I think I had like a 3.6 GPA, which is, I mean, like not terrible, but like just because like most of my friends were smarter than me as far as grades and numbers, I felt very out of place also because like I was in like one of the lowest math classes, like levels, and like I was like one of the only Asians in that class. Versus like at the same time I was also in honors English and there was tons of Asians in this class, and it was like really weird. And I could tell like no one ever said this to my face, but I could tell people were like, "You're Asian, why aren't you good at math?" Like, you know, everyone else is good at math. But I have ADHD. Math and me are not friends.
No. I kind of get that. I mean, I was good at math, and then uh, things happen as you would with adult onset mental health issues, and things are no longer easy. Yay!
I also never learned my multiplication times tables, so that was like a big problem. Like in fourth grade when we were learning that, I never like got it down solid, so then that just caused future problems for everything because I never had the foundational skills. Like even like basic addition, subtraction, I can't, like I have to like count on my fingers. Like if you tell me 8 plus 6, I'm like panicking. Like I never got these foundational skills. Partly because I had undiagnosed ADHD in elementary school and I was not getting the support I needed. And so um, all those skills weren't there. And so when it came time to do the more complicated math, it just took me a lot longer because I didn't have those foundations, which was hard.
Yeah. But at the same time, you have skills that a lot of people don't necessarily have or have the time to hone. So it's art.
If I didn't have art, I literally don't know what I would be doing right now. Like probably going into like journalism or some kind of writing because English was my best subject after art. But yeah, I'm not like physically inclined. I'm not like science. Like I like science a lot, but I don't think I would be like again like smart enough. And I know this is like there's a lot of baggage here, but because I'm sure I could do fine in the science field, but like if my high school like taught me anything, it's that like science and math just weren't for me. I think if I'd gotten more support, I might have, you know, been like more interested in a career in science. Because I think like research labs and neuroscience and like psychology and like all these other like social sciences are really cool. And you know, but wasn't ever something that I even considered for myself. So I don't know.
So let's go on to the you know, like we talked about your sort of diaspora and sort of cultural roots. I guess being gay is not a root necessarily, but more of a. Tell me a little bit more about your experience coming out as queer and.
Yeah. In high school, I had a crush on one of my friends, and I didn't realize that it was a crush. Like, this was like basically maybe like 8th grade, maybe, when I realized that I liked one of my friends as more than just a friend. And I, at that time, was also on Tumblr, and I was learning about what being gay meant. Because I had like no adults in my life who were gay. So I had no like role models like that. And there was like nobody in the media. There's no characters. There was nothing. And so I was on Tumblr learning about like what being gay meant, what lesbians were, etc., etc., etc. And by the time I was in high school, I think I had an online friend at the time. We talked like every day, and she came out to me as bisexual one day, and I came out to her like right after that. So she was the first person I told, and then I told my friends at school. And I was really, really scared to come out because I thought my friends would like treat me differently or, you know, not want to be friends with me anymore. Like, I had nothing to be afraid of. Literally all of these people ended up being queer. But being one of the first people to come out was really, really challenging. And again, I was just like really terrified. But I ended up telling one of my best friends that I originally came out as bisexual. And she was really receptive. And then I eventually came out to more people, and then I came out like to everybody on Facebook, slash Instagram, because like at that time the Instagram thing was happening as well. Um, and yeah, that was a time, and then it ended up being okay. My parents were supportive as well. I came out to them after all my friends, and I was really scared to do that, because I was raised Catholic, and we all know how the church feels about us. But um, that was really hard. I was worried about what my mom would say, what my dad would say. But they ended up being great, and now I'm not Catholic, so. um, there's this tweet, I can't stop thinking about it, but it's like the Catholic Church is really a pipeline for people just being gay. Like it's like the Catholic school to gay pipeline or something. I can't remember what it was, but it was so funny. Can't stop thinking about it.
I think I know which one you're talking about, but I can't recall the details either. Uh, yeah, so I. What What's your favorite piece of art that you've created?
Oh boy, that's a hard question.
I know it sounds like Sophie's Child sort of a thing, but start somewhere.
um, I don't know. I think like I'm gonna switch my background. This piece of work I did is
Ooh.
I did this I think 2 years ago at school. I'm still studying at the Savannah College of Art and Design for illustration, but this was for like my very first digital art class. And this piece I think was the first one that made me realize like this, meaning like illustration, is something that I can do and something that I enjoy. And this lighting and everything, like it was a breakthrough, I think, for me as far as personal style goes. And like looking at it now, there's so many things wrong with it, but I really love the colors, and I was told it would make a really good like mat, like for playing Magic the Gathering. I'm not sure why they have mats because I've never played the game before, but I was told it'd make a really good mat, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I actually think it would. I can kind of see that. I also see little bits of your characters in them.
Oh yeah, this is Bahati. She is a goddess from my fantasy setting that I've been working on for like 5 years. The setting's called Arumbai. I have run a bunch of D&D games in that setting, and I'm looking to convert it, or not convert the setting, but find a new game system that I can run games in, because I'm no longer comfortable running Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, tell me a little bit about the campaign setting then.
Yeah, sure. Here's another piece. This is laying this way. This is Haleakala, named after the Hawaiian volcano. Haleakala translates to House of the Sun, which is fitting for a volcano, but also fitting for this character. She's the sun goddess and the creator of the earth, and she also like does plant stuff. The people who are religious and worship her in my setting believe that the sun itself is her, and she brings light to the world. There's a big like the religion is super important in the setting, because I was creating this at the time that I was fighting my mom about being Catholic or not being Catholic, and I wanted to create a religion, or create a society that was very religious, but in a completely different way that like Catholic people are religious, a like open and accepting religion, and to create a whole culture based around that. But there's like a big thing about like duality with like lightness and darkness and like good and evil and having everything be balanced. And so yeah, she's the light, and then her like counterpart is another goddess named Nereza, who is the goddess of darkness, and the two of them create balance, which is order, is the opposite of chaos. There's like a whole thing. But she's another one. Bahati, who I showed you earlier, is the goddess of fire, death, fate, fortune, and karma, and she is the eternal judge and will judge your soul when you die. And those who have been good, I guess, get to ascend to the House of the Stars, where they become a star and are able to shine down on future generations forever. Because the people, at night they look up and see the stars, and they believe that those are their ancestors. And then if you were a crappy person, then you don't get to be a star, and you have to stay with Bahati in her realm, which is the House of... Oh my god, why am I blanking? Oh, this is terrible. House of the Endless Sea. And you stay there under the water with her, and you suffer.
You drown in misery.
Yes, you drown in misery in this ocean that is never ending, where fire burns underwater and everything sucks. So that's some basic things. If you look up the tag Arumbai on Instagram or Twitter, I've posted more stuff there.
How would you spell it?
I will put it in the chat. There's like
wonderful.
A silent J.
Yeah.
Russ is here. Hello, Russ.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can also, they make good desk pads as well.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, like it's like a giant mouse pad, like that, like material. I don't know what it is.
The neoprene or something like that. I don't know what it's called.
It's squishy. Ooh,
and what's that background there?
Oh, this you can
the
see
other
my
direction.
Improvement in this you can see my improvement with my digital rendering skills. This I did this fall. It was for a class called Divine and Macabre, or Illustrating the Divine and the Macabre. And this
those
is my
sound like
class.
rad classes.
Oh, it was really cool. But this is the prompt was good versus evil, so like super open-ended, but we had to have both the divine and the macabre elements. You can see like the heavenly light coming in on the side for like the good character, and then obviously the monster is a bad character. This was my first like environment rendered piece that I had. Rocks suck. I would not recommend drawing rocks. Rocks are hard. Yeah. Also, water. I'm gonna ignore how bad the water is, but I've gotten better with water rendering.
I'm gonna say that I couldn't even draw a fraction of that, so it's pretty good. I know there's like levels of criticism and all that stuff, but it's pretty good. It is. It's so good. So as we're sort of winding down to our hour, I'm gonna do sort of a rapid fire round, completely from the seat of my pants.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So, cheesecake, pie or cake?
What?
Is a cheesecake a pie or cake?
Cheesecake is a cake. I've never had a cheesecake I like. I should put that out there. I don't like cheesecake, but it's cake. It's in the name. It's a cake.
Well, some people could argue it's a pie, and it's a question that my friend asked on another podcast, and I found the answers have always been so divisive. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this.
Everybody vote in the comments section if you think it's a pie or a cake.
I already see, Jess. It's a pie. Okay, so...
Oh, okay, wait. They say it's a crust. Okay, you have a point. I forgot that cheesecake has a crust. I don't know. It's not called cheese pie, though, so...
Well, it is a rapid-fire round, so it's kind of like that first thing. All right, drawing. Analog or digital?
I've been doing mostly digital work now because that's what's viable in my industry, but I love traditional art so much. And I wish that, like, more, like... tabletop games or just like gaming industry in general used traditional media because it's beautiful.
Heck yeah. Okay. Favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert, baklava, hands down.
Baklava. Yeah. That's pretty good. Okay. I'm only coming up with food related things. This is so.
I love food. All I eat is pasta. That's all I eat.
Favorite pasta?
Like pasta shape or pasta sauce?
Anything. Dish shape.
Okay, well, my favorite dish to make is aglio e olio. It's very easy and very tasty.
I love that. I love
And
that.
then I also like pesto, because pesto is very good, and my mom makes a very good homemade pesto sauce. My other favorite sauce to make is the roasted red pepper garlic sauce. It's so good.
Oh, so good.
Um, my favorite pasta shape is, I have no idea how to say it. It begins with an O, and they're like, if you take shell
Orchetti?
pasta, yeah, that, and flatten it. I like that, and I also really like rotini and campanelli for pasta shapes.
Nice. Nice. What are their questions? Because I am flying from the seat of my pants. Favorite holiday spot?
Favorite holiday, what?
Spot. Like, you'd like to go on a holiday to, or...
Oh, like a vacation. My
Yeah.
dream vacation right now is Amsterdam. I'd love to go. I've never been. I've
Is
actually
there...
never been to Europe, but that'll be my first destination
Is
in Europe.
there anything in particular in Amsterdam that you're really looking forward to seeing?
I have no idea. I just think the city is very artsy and very I don't know, it's just the vibes. It's like that's a weird way to pick like a vacation spot, but I'm a very spontaneous person. I hate planning, and I just like Amsterdam seems like a perfectly cool city to just go walking around in. Um and yeah, I don't know.
So in chat, someone macaroni KTX asks, "Is a hot dog a taco?"
No. A hot dog is not a taco. Don't tacos have to be in taco shells? Like, you wouldn't put a hot dog in a taco shell unless you would.
Well, an ice cream taco is technically made out of like sugar cone or waffle
I've never
batter.
had an ice cream taco.
Yeah, there's like a supermarket one where it's basically you take a those I think Swiss or German cookie waffle really thin cookie thing, and you kind of mold it into a cone, you into a taco, and then you fill it with ice cream, and then you cover it in chocolate.
Jess just brought up the whole straw thing. Does it like the whole
Is ketchup just a tomato smoothie? What?
I hate that, but it is. Ketchup is a tomato smoothie, and I hate that. Although you could argue that a smoothie has to have more than one ingredient, so...
Well, ketchup
maybe not.
technically has, it doesn't just taste like that because there's only tomato. It's actually, it's pickled. Like, there's other things added, and it's reduced until it's strong. It's actually really hard to make ketchup on your own that tastes like commercial ketchup.
Interesting.
Okay, so as we're like about 5 or 7 minutes away before end of our time. So this actually would be a great time. What differentiates a muffin and a cupcake?
I was just answering that in chat. Cupcakes have frosting, muffins do not.
Well, what about, don't muffins sometimes have glazes or crumbles on top?
Yeah, but that's not frosting. Frosting is
That's
like,
true.
like if this is the actual like muffin, frosting has got to be like this much or whatever above it or whatever. Like it usually has volume to it.
That's true. So we could keep answering food questions until midnight.
That's like a weird thing that I'm like known for on Twitter is my cursed food polls at like 3 a.m. If you've never seen any of them, maybe be glad because they're cursed.
Well, if you do want to see them, where can we find you?
Great segue.
Please plug yourself.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter at Nala Wu. That's NALAWU. It looks like all my stuff was put in the chat. But yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Nala Wu, and then most other social media is Nala Draws. It's like pretty much anywhere else. Instagram, I'm Nala Draws. ArtStation, I'm Nala Draws. I just joined Letterboxd, which is a service where you get to review movies. And I've seen like no movies. Well, actually, I sat down last night and figured out, and I've seen about 300 movies. But that's it.
300 movies in what span of time?
My whole life. Like I literally went through and was looking for movies that I've seen, and I can't, like, I've run out of movies. that I've thought of that I'm like, oh, I've seen this. So I'm like, it's pretty much like I've definitely at like that 300 mark. Anyways, you can find me on there, also at Nala Draws. I am on a Star Trek show that is currently on hiatus, but you should follow our Twitter, which is I think it's just FCRD 12, maybe. Oh my god, I really should know our Twitter. But once that's back up, we're playing Star Trek Adventures on Monday nights, 6 to 9 p.m. I'm actually going to look in the thing for prompts here for like what else I was going to talk about. I'm taking commissions right now. If you're interested in getting some art from me of your tabletop game character or of your face for an icon, your friend, NPC, whatever, gift for your GM, you can message me on Twitter. Commissions are open currently. I'm also available for freelance work if you are creating a tabletop game or just a game or anything and you want some illustrations from me. I am available for that as well. In addition to that, I also do voice acting. So message me if you think my voice would be cool for things. Also, I do sensitivity reading and cultural consulting. The thread is linked in the chat for like more information on that. You can also, it's also just in my pinned tweet on my profile. But any of those topics you can hire me for. I will gladly educate you or read your stuff and make sure it's not bad. What else? My portfolio is linked also in the chat. It's naladraws.artstation.com. You can see my professional portfolio work, and yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and especially for our first episode off ballot, and especially your first creator spotlight. We will be having a panel discussion on Everything is a Remix, and I really should remember the full title of it, but it is an awesome title.
It's awesome if I could remember it.
Look, I'm juggling a lot of things.
You are valid and you're doing amazing. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Please, continue. But yes, so there will be a panel on that tomorrow. We are going to raid. We're going to raid in the short half an hour that is there from now, and the first episode of our campaign show, which I will be the guide for, along with our fabulous players, Connie, Morgan, Bashir, and Anino, which will be, in about